And that's where baby Dodongos come from. Oh, hey universe. Did you want me to ruin your innocence too? Well then, it sounds like you want a mailbag, and you're in luck. I'm just in the mood to give you one. So, let's go! First off, apologies for not doing a mailbag in the last week. If you watched the Zelda vlog that I put up a couple days ago, you'll know that it's because I was finishing up school. School is officially over for me. I'm in summer times, so I can do mailbags every week now. Alright, so let's just get right to it. Question 1. Warano asks, do you think Skyward Sword's formula change means we'll only have a strict item set to solve problems with in and outside of dungeons? I do and I don't. Mostly, I don't. This is why. Now, Nintendo has seemed to make great efforts to increase the length of time that an item is useful throughout the game. A case in point being the beetle. The beetle is a very rather innovative new item for the Zelda series that is essentially just an item grabber and dropper. It's just a flying hand. That has pretty much unlimited potential in the game to be used further and further down the line, regardless of what dungeon you're in. It's a very broad type of item. Now, other classic items, maybe they have some limited use, but I think Nintendo is going to try and create a lot of new items. You know, we've been seeing a lot of newer items. The whip is a very broad type of item. It had a lot of use in Spirit Tracks. It's like a boomerang. The boomerang is also, you know, one of those items that can just be used for just about anything. I don't think the formula change is going to result in items that have even more limited use. In fact, the opposite. Since the formula change basically means that they're eliminating the distinction between fields and dungeons, they're going to have to create items that last throughout all of the fields and dungeons and that, you know, flow very easily with the gameplay. So items are going to end up lasting a lot longer, and we're not going to have a limited item set. Question 2 ties kind of right into the last question, which is why I picked it. Anyways, Calhoun 327 asks, Nintendo indicates that weapons will continue to be useful for longer in Skyward Sword. How do you think this will be possible for weak items like the slingshot? As I said earlier, I do agree that items are going to have a lot greater use in Skyward Sword. I think mainly, though, those greater uses are going to stick to new items. Slingshot is traditionally superseded by the bow. Once you get the bow, the slingshot's useless. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case in Skyward Sword. I can't even see a way of getting around that unless there are like slingshot-only puzzles. But for a lot of items, the whip, the beetle, like I said before, a lot of potential there for a lot of different types of puzzles that just last and last and last. Weak items, they're probably just not going to have that many of them. Probably the slingshot is going to be the only weak item. It's interesting to think, you know, try and think about the progression of items that you're going to get in Skyward Sword and how that might work out. The classic items are probably going to keep their classic purpose, and new items are going to introduce the gameplay changes that Skyward Sword wants to bring to Zelda fans. Question 3 is asked by Monkey100, who asks, do you think that the Holodrum or Labrina regions could be used in new Zelda games? And also, do you think that secondary villains such as Onyx, Veron, Vadi, Majora, etc. deserve more spotlight in Zelda games? So, since it's a two-part question, I'll give you my two-part answer. No, and maybe. No to Holodrum or Labrina because their stories are basically done and they had a nice, you know, Game Boy launch, and they were also developed by Capcom on the side, and although they are Zelda canon, I don't see Nintendo revisiting those regions except for fan service. Nintendo seems to either stick with Hyrule or make a new one-time land. I don't think they've ever revisited one of those other non-Hyrule lands more than once across the entire series. So I would say a no on that, although it might be cool if they did it in 3D. That would actually that would be pretty cool if they did that in 3D. I support 3D Holodrum and Labrina. In fact, I support 3D remakes of the Oracle series. I think that would be cool. But first 3D remake of Link's Awakening. Wasn't somebody like working on that? Somebody was there was a fan project that was working on 3D Link's Awakening. Sorry to get like all off on a tangent here. This is the symbol for tangent. There was this fan project for 3D Link's Awakening. I'm not sure if it got canceled or cease and desist or what happened, but check it out. That has nothing to do with your question, so I'm just going to keep answering the second part. Do I think that the other kind of secondary villains who are not Ganon should be in subsequent games or, you know, have more games or something. Yes and no. I think it would be cool to have, well, Vaati already got his whole freaking series, and he got his origin story, and he got a lot of things. We're pretty much done with Vaati, although he's a really cool villain. Vaati's probably one of my favorite villains. Onyx, Veron, Majora, all their stories were finished, so there's not really a point for them to return. Then again, Ganon's story has been finished like, what, 80 bajillion times? The number of stories he's in is like literally over 9,000. How many more times can we suffer through Ganon? Unless some of you don't consider that suffering. Very likely there's going to be Ganon in Twilight Princess again, because name a... no, wait, I can do that. Majora's Mask. I was going to say name a console Zelda that's come out that has no Ganon in it, but Majora's Mask, yeah. But every other one has Ganon. I would like there to be more different villains. This is why I would love that for Debbie to be the villain and to be the only villain, because it would be an interesting break from Ganon, and we need a break from Ganon after all this time. Even though we technically got Malladus and Spirit Tracks, just feels like not enough of a break, you know? Perhaps our dream will come true. Alright, question 4 comes from Mr. Orbitron, and he asks, can you explain the timeline? The split makes 0 sense, and it just doesn't work. Ages in one, seasons in the other. Has anybody actually played those games? They meet! Also, temporal causality doesn't work that way. Link stops Ganon in the future and seals him away, then stops him in the past. But wait! If he stopped him in the past, he would never go to the future to stop him, so he'd never be able to stop him in the past! Jason, please help. Well, I've come to the rescue, sir. And I will cower in fear at your question because you're pretty much correct, but you know what? It's video game. I'm just gonna kind of use this to give my opinion on the whole timeline dealy in general. Even though I know Nintendo has an official timeline locked away in the magic vault of Hyrule somewhere where only Enuma and Miyamoto know what's going on inside there, I still think, and this is just my personal opinion if you didn't already know that, which you did, so whatever. I still think it's kind of overzealous to think too hard about the timeline, because in the end, they're games that you should enjoy playing, and although you can enjoy all the fandom around it, which is really awesome, trying to break down every little piece of the timeline when you know Nintendo's not gonna give it to you is just gonna drive you bonkers, and it's drive lots of people bonkers. But some people like to be driven bonkers by that. Me in particular, I do not. But if I had to try and make sense of the timeline, I'm going to give you my 2 views of time that can explain how this paradoxical event is possible. So essentially, you're thinking of time as a linear strip where, you know, if Link goes backwards in time from the future and changes something, then the future gets retconned with what has been changed in the past. However, there are alternate views of time that suggest that this may not actually be the case. What actually happens is that there are already an infinite number of timelines, and going back in time shifts you to a different timeline. So what you're really doing is you have all these rows of time, and they are different parallel universes, so to speak, and you're jumping between them in order to change reality, when in fact you're not actually changing the realm that you came from. You're just in a different one that has a different set of circumstances, and that set of circumstances matches what you desire to change. The other view is that timelines are instantaneously created when you go back in time and change something. So you change something, there's a split. So in order to counteract the paradox that you suggested, there's a split that happens in the timeline, and all of a sudden there are 2. There's the adult timeline where Link is an adult and goes forward as an adult, seals Ganon away, and then gets sent back to the past and is gone, and then the Wind Waker happens. Or you have the child timeline where Link has gone back, warned everybody about Ganon, and then goes off to Termina, and oh good lord, I might have this backwards again. Case in point is it's still really confusing. This is why I don't think about this stuff. But if you have to, it's fun because it makes your mind explode. I hope that totally messed up what everybody thinks the timeline is, because really not my forte there. Really not. I am so sorry if I just screwed that up completely, but you know what? Deal with it. Question 5 is by Omega the Wolf, who asks, do you think Skyward Sword will have a plot twist like Twilight Princess, where the main villain changes to Ganon 3/4 of the way through? I will just come out and say that this is my greatest fear. I go to sleep at night in my happy little bed. Oh my god! Ganon is going to be in Skyward Sword 3/4 of the way through. But if we're lucky, that won't happen. If we're really lucky. So who am I kidding? Of course that's gonna happen. Just watch it happen. Now just watch me be completely wrong about this because I'm so sure that I'm going to be right about it that I must be wrong. May luck be with me. Final question. That didn't work out the way I wanted it to. Anyway, Tinziski asks, do you think that Twilight Princess was less magical with the absence of a magic meter, fire and ice arrows, and spells because it has more technological advancements like the cannon? Or was it just because Nintendo wanted a game without magic spells? To answer this question, I'm going to take you all the way back to Twilight Princess's development cycle, where we saw screenshots, early screenshots of Twilight Princess development that included a magic bar. So there used to be a magic bar in Twilight Princess. Where did it go? Why was it taken away from us? Why am I talking like this and rubbing my beard at the same time? It's outrageous. I don't know, Jason. You should stop talking to yourself. Weird. Okay, I will. This joke's probably going on far too long. I agree. It really is. Why do you keep doing this? I don't know, but maybe Nintendo just wanted to remove the magic bar because they realized that it had no functional purpose in Twilight Princess given the item set that they wanted to include for the different dungeons. So in user testing, they realized that the magic bar was effectively useless and nixed it. Does it make it less magical? Probably not, because a lot of the magic things were replaced by things that don't have limits on them. The magic bar is just a limit to magic, but when you remove it and just replace it with other things that are inherently magical, then you have no problems with magic. None of the things that Twilight Princess wanted to do really required a magic meter, which is definitely why it was removed in testing. So it's not that they didn't want a game without magic spells, it's just that what they wanted to do didn't need it, so they got rid of it. The end. The end? I didn't say it could be the end. Oh, shut up. Now that I'm done being schizophrenic, I just want to say that's all I've got for you. That is absolutely it. That is the last mailbag that's ever going to happen. You're never going to see another one. Okay, bye. Oh wait, that wasn't true. That wasn't true. There's going to be another one next week. Don't run away. I didn't mean to scare you. Please ask more questions in the comments like every week. I love getting questions from you. You guys submitted a lot of wonderful questions next week, even enough that I can answer some in text form below. Have a look. Read. You read with your brain, with your eyes, and with your teeth, if you use your teeth to read, which you probably don't. Mailbag's going to be Sunday next week because I'm taking my lovely grandmother out to purchase her iPad. Finally getting rid of that computer. Took her long enough. Like and or favorite this video and leave comments about things and stuff. And I'll see you guys next week. Peace and Triforce pieces.